Recently, I asked people on the Magical Experiments Facebook group to share questions with me they had about magic. And one of the questions that was asked about was the question of, have you ever tried to magic your way out of a problem? And a follow up question is, why do people think magic is a quick fix solution to quote unquote mundane problems or issues that require mundane work? The person mentioned that they put mundane in quotes because they acknowledge that it's a very arbitrary division between magical and mundane, and I agree with that. There's a tendency to assume that we have to divide up our like the magic from the mundane, and I think if anything we need to marry them together because they are part of the whole human experience. It's like when we say, well, our spirituality is only on one day of the week, and then the rest of the week, we're dealing with our everyday lives. Well, your spirituality is ideally part of your everyday life, and vice versa. Um, it's the key to living a magical life when you think about it, and I think it's a really important component of the whole experience. So it's something that we need to think about in a very important way, because a lot of times we're making assumptions about what things are or are not, and we don't need to do that. So, you know, I think I think as someone who at one time in my 20s I was doing magic all the time whenever I had problems come up. Like, I got into a fight with someone, I did magic. I needed to find a job, I did magic. I needed to get out of a job, I did magic. I did, I broke up with someone, I did magic, or something like that. And at a certain point, I started to question why I was doing so much magic all the time, and I came to a realization that I was trying to fix a lot of things in my life, but I wasn't fixing the one thing I really needed to fix, which was myself. So really, we ideally are doing our inner work, our internal work, and looking at ourselves and saying, okay, what are the aspects of ourselves that we need to work on? What are the issues that we need to address and resolve? Because if we don't do that, then we set ourselves up to fail a lot of times, because we'll get magic and we might get a result, but that result may not stick because we haven't done the inner work to change ourselves. This is why I take an ontological approach to magic. So when I look at magic as a quote-unquote quick fix solution, one of the things that I really end up looking at is it really a quick fix? And the answer is no, I don't think it really is. A lot of times it's not a quick fix. A lot of times it's kind of a thing where we have to really take a look at what all is involved. And so this is one of the reasons why I actually believe in marrying mundane actions, quote unquote, mundane, into magical actions. So, like, for example, if I'm doing job hunting, I'm not just going to I'm not going to just fill out applications and send out resumes and go to interviews. I'm also going to apply magic to the mix. I'm going to, try and connect with somebody magically. I might do like a sigil to make my application or resume stand out. I might do a magical working where, for every interview I get, that I take the energy of that interview and use it to create momentum toward helping me find my job sooner. That's just one example. I might, in a situation where I repeatedly find myself, getting taken advantage of in a certain way, I might start doing some magical work to protect myself. I might create an entity, but at the same time, I might also say, I'm going to make it a rule that I have to run certain issues or certain matters by my friends, and I need to listen to them. Like, I actually have to listen to them, because they might actually have a better sense as to what I'm doing. Or they might be able to warn me away from a situation. So, I mean, these are all good examples of where we can marry the magical to the mundane in order to create a cohesive experience that shapes the way that we think about or appreciate the world. And so when we look at magic, we want to be looking at that. And so we're not just looking at, I have a magical or a situation where I need to fix a problem. Yes, we may need to fix a problem. Yes, we may have certain situations coming up that require for us to draw upon the most overt solutions, but a lot of times we also have other approaches. We have other ways of thinking about things, and that's kind of the way that I like to approach it. Is I like to look at magic as just one tool among many, and what is the best tool for the job. Sometimes the best tool for the job is a quote-unquote mundane action, and sometimes it's a magical action. So we need to look at all of that and make the best choices that we can, instead of making assumptions about what we're doing or not doing. And instead of assuming, oh, well, I have to do a magical solution here, well, maybe we do, but maybe I also need to do a mundane solution as well. Or maybe I need to take certain types of actions. So these are things that I think it's important to think about and apply in magical work in order to move things forward in a meaningful and cohesive way. So that's kind of one of the approaches that I'm looking at right now in terms of my magical work. I'm always looking at that. I'm looking at how to blend the mundane and the magical together. But I think it's an important thing to take a look at. Like, ideally, you're looking at it and you're saying, like, how could I apply this in order to get better results in my life? What are some things I could be doing differently? So I just want to give you that food for thought, and thanks for watching. And I'll see you in the next podcast.